So once again, I realize this is mirror imaged, and this is from the preface. But I want to do this cold. I want to read from this book and put my own commentary in as I'll say we go. Although I've been dying to read this thing. In the spring of 2019, when I had just finished writing my previous book, Rockefeller Controlling the Game, I could not imagine how events would unfold the following year. However, the warning signs had been there. The Greta Thunberg fever was at its peak, and there were indications that 2020 would be a dramatic year. This was the year when the implementation of the 2015 Paris Agreement on Climate and the 17 global goals of Agenda 2030 were set to begin. 2020 marked what the start of the United Nations had dubbed the Decade of Action. And remember, the UN and the WEF signed the agreements to hasten Agenda 2030 to 2025 and all that, as I've mentioned in past videos. Anyways, back to the preface. In early 2020, the 19 panda hit the world. Sorry, I have to mince my terms. As the seriousness of the situation intensified, resulting in democratic rights and freedoms almost overnight being replaced by authoritarian mandates, curfews, and riots, I felt an urgent need to write this book. Everything I had warned about for 4 years in my books, articles, lectures, and songs, he's a musician, suddenly became a reality. The inhumane control society of the Fourth Industrial Revolution was rapidly unfolding. It became clear that the 19 crisis, again mincing my words, was part of a global coup in which the old system was about to be replaced by a new one where humankind was fully integrated into a technological system. This book, first published in Sweden December 4th, 2020, include some amendments and stuff, but this is an ongoing story. I'm sorry I'm going to, cut through some stuff. The purpose of this book is to give a brief background as to what is happening in the world, and will also continue the story presented in Rockefeller, his previous book. Even though public focus shifted away from the weather, again mincing my terms, issue during the 19 crisis, the weather agenda was still permeating everything, and is briefly summarized here. The panda began the perfect trigger event needed to implement some of the draconian weather strategies by the proponents of blah 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 and kickstart the great transformation. My aim is to clarify how decisions are made at a global level, what the Fourth Industrial Revolution is, what consequences this agenda is likely to have for humankind, and to identify the individuals and organizations involved, including the World Economic Forum, its Young Global Leaders Program, the UN, G20, and the European Union. If you've been following my WEF content for any length of time, you've heard it all before. My concern is that the consolidation of global power may have dire consequences for humanity, even if the intention is well-meaning. The global public-private partnership between the United Nations and the World Economic Forum to fill the global goals of Agenda 2030 appears to combine the worst sides of capitalism with the worst sides of socialism, with a totalitarian technocracy of the end result. My style of writing is to present facts, quotes, and sources that my readers can check for themselves. I also try to give a helicopter perspective and analyze all sides of the grand chessboard. This means that you as a reader may find some chapters challenging, especially if you have chosen a specific team or put your faith in a specific savior figure. Oh, I'm liking it more and more as we go. Half a sec. My belief is that we as a species have to be our own saviors by learning to discriminate facts from propaganda and misinformation from all sides. Hopefully this book will be some help in that process. I'll stop here now and say my videos about the bit nudge units and the WEF's behavioral sciences. Pretty certain we're going to find some of that in here, but we'll see. I would like to convey, okay, blah, 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 and I would like to thank, and blah, blah, blah. I'm just going to remove that stuff, right? The success of the plan hinges on everyone believing in the propaganda and playing along. Well, indeed it does, but truth always finds a way. With more and more people waking up and seeing through the illusions, I believe this ongoing technocratic coup is doomed to fail. Jacob Nordengard, Norrköping, Sweden, June 7th, 2024. Well, I am with you, Jacob. I hope it is doomed to fail. Let's hope it is. Forward. We'll leave that for the next vid.